the crypto piggy bank hack.
Ooh, I like that.
It really is this kind of insider knowledge.
Yeah.
We're getting an early look at a strategy a lot of folks who are really tuned into the crypto space are using right now.
Yeah, these are people who are using Bitcoin for long-term savings goals.
Right.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No, not at all.
It's a strat.
It's about building wealth.
That's right.
Slowly, steadily, and really kind of almost automating the process so you don't have to think about it too much.
And the beauty of it is that it really leverages the unique properties of Bitcoin in a way that we haven't really seen with traditional savings accounts.
Right. So, when we think about saving money, we think about putting it in a savings account at a bank.
Right, your typical savings account.
And right now, those interest rates are pretty...
They're pretty paltry.
Yeah.
It's not really very motivating to see your money grow at such a snail's pace.
Right. And that's where Bitcoin comes in.
Yeah.
Because Bitcoin is often referred to as like a digital gold.
That's right. It has that store of value characteristic.
Right. And so there's this potential for it to grow in value.
Absolutely.
At a much faster rate.
And historically, it's actually done quite well compared to traditional assets.
Right. So how does this hack actually work?
Well, it all starts with a concept called dollar cost averaging.
Okay. So dollar cost averaging, I've heard that term before.
It's a simple but powerful strategy.
But I don't totally get it.
Yeah, basically, instead of trying to time the market perfectly,
right,
which we all know is nearly impossible,
yeah,
you invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals.
So like instead of buying all my groceries for the whole year at once,
right,
I just buy what I need each week.
Exactly.
Okay. I could see how that would kind of protect me from price fluctuations.
And precisely.
So I'm not buying everything when it's really expensive.
You average out your purchase price over time.
Okay. So how does that apply to Bitcoin?
The same principle applies.
Okay.
Instead of trying to guess when Bitcoin is going to be at its highest or lowest, you simply invest a small amount.
Okay.
Say $50 or $100.
Every week.
Yeah, every week or every month.
Okay.
Whatever works for you.
So that consistency is what really...
Consistency is key.
Is key, yeah.
It helps to mitigate the risk of volatility.
And the source material that we're looking at today, it actually lays out a pretty clear path to setting up this whole system.
Yeah, it breaks it down into really manageable steps.
Right. And so step one is you choose an amount that you're comfortable investing regularly.
It doesn't have to be a huge amount.
Yeah. Right. Just something that fits into your budget.
Right. Just like you said with the groceries.
Yeah. And then you set up automatic purchases.
That's the beauty of it.
On one of these platforms.
There are plenty of great platforms out there that make this super easy.
Coinbase.
Yeah. Coinbase is a popular one.
Binance Kraken.
Binance Kraken.
I mean, there's so many to choose from these days.
And they all have their own strengths and weaknesses.
Right. So once you've got your platform set up and your automatic purchases scheduled,
you essentially just let it run.
You just kind of forget about it.
And that's where the magic happens.
But that small amount that you're investing regularly, it really does add up over time.
You'd be surprised how quickly it can grow.
Right. So let's say you're investing $50 a week.
Yeah.
That's $2,600 a year.
That's right.
And if Bitcoin appreciates even modestly over time, that's a significant amount of money.
It is.
And so it really is like slowly filling up a piggy bank.
Yeah.
But in this case, your piggy bank is digital.
And has the potential to grow much faster than your traditional ceramic piggy bank.
Right, exactly. And you know what's even more interesting?
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
I love it.
There are these additional tools and resources.
Oh, yeah, the bonus features.
Yeah, the hacks within the hack.
I like that.
That can supercharge your savings even further.
Things like Bitcoin savings accounts that actually earn you interest on your holdings.
Wait, hold on. So I can earn interest on my Bitcoin?
Yes, you heard that right.
Just like a traditional savings account?
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And there are also apps that automatically round up your purchases and invest the spare change into Bitcoin.
Whoa, hold on. So every time I buy a cup of coffee,
yep, a little bit of Bitcoin gets tucked away.
A little fraction gets put into my savings.
It's like magic.
That's amazing.
It's a really effortless way to save.
So it's all about finding the right tools.
Exactly.
And creating a system that really works for you.
And maximizing those potential gains without constantly having to check the market.
So we've got this idea of Bitcoin as digital gold. We've got this concept of dollar cost averaging.
Right.
We've got these platforms and wallets and apps.
It's all coming together.
It's all starting to come together. But I think before we get too deep into the weeds, it's important to take a step back and really understand why Bitcoin is being positioned as this potentially superior savings vehicle.
That's a good point.
Because it's not just about the ease of automation.
It's not just about the tools.
Right. There's something more fundamental going on here.
Right. It's about the nature of Bitcoin itself.
Exactly. So we've established that Bitcoin is more than just digital cash.
It's a different kind of asset.
But what are those key characteristics that make it so valuable for savers like you and me?
That's a great question, and one we should definitely delve into.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
All right.
Okay. Well, one of the most compelling aspects of Bitcoin is its built-in scarcity. Yeah.
What do you mean?
So unlike traditional currencies like, dollars or euros, which can be printed endlessly by governments,
Right.
there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence.
Oh, wow. So it's like a limited edition?
It is a limited supply.
Yeah, limited edition collectible.
Yeah, think of it like a rare piece of art or a vintage car.
Okay, but on a global scale.
Exactly.
So
There you go.
that scarcity must have something to do with its value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Scarcity is one of the fundamental principles of economics.
Okay.
When something is rare and in demand, its value tends to increase.
Okay.
And because the supply of Bitcoin is fixed, it's inherently protected from inflation.
Okay, so when we talk about inflation, we're talking about the decrease in the purchasing power of a currency over time.
That's right. And that's a huge problem with traditional currencies.
Yeah.
Governments can just print more money whenever they want, and that devalues the money that's already in circulation.
Right. But with Bitcoin, that can't happen.
Exactly, because the supply is capped.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin is also known for being really volatile.
Right. That's true. Bitcoin has experienced some pretty wild price swings.
Yeah. I've seen the headlines. I mean, it goes up, it goes down.
It can be a roller coaster ride, that's for sure.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah. And that can be scary for some people.
Especially if they're thinking about saving for the long term.
But remember, we're talking about a long-term strategy here.
Right.
The idea with dollar cost averaging is to ride out those fluctuations over time.
So the more consistent you are with your contributions,
The less those short-term price swings matter.
right, because you're buying in at different price points.
You're averaging out your purchase price.
Okay, and has that volatility been decreasing over time?
It has. As Bitcoin matures as an asset class, we've seen those price swings become less extreme.
So it's still early days.
It is, but many analysts believe that as adoption grows
Okay.
and more institutional investors enter the market, Bitcoin's volatility will continue to stabilize.
So, okay, we've got scarcity. We've got the potential for decreased volatility. But there's another aspect we touched on earlier, decentralization.
Ah, yes, decentralization, a core principle of Bitcoin.
So remind me, what does that actually mean for someone like me who's looking to build wealth with Bitcoin?
Well, unlike traditional currencies, which are controlled by central banks and governments,
Okay.
Bitcoin operates on a global network of computers with no single entity in charge.
It was like a financial system without borders or intermediaries?
Precisely, and that has some pretty profound implications.
Okay, like what?
For one thing, it means your Bitcoin holdings are not subject to the whims of a single government or institution.
Okay, so they can't just freeze my account.
Nope, they can't freeze your account, they can't devalue your currency or impose capital controls.
That's pretty powerful, especially in a world where, things are feeling a little bit unstable.
Exactly. It gives you a level of financial freedom and autonomy.
That's just not possible with traditional savings accounts.
It's about taking control of your own financial future.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the conceptual advantages of Bitcoin.
The big picture stuff.
Yeah, but let's get back to the practical side of things.
Yeah, right.
How do I actually go about setting up this crypto piggy bank?
Well, the first step is choosing a reputable platform to buy and hold your Bitcoin.
Okay, so we talked about a few earlier.
You mentioned Coinbase, Binance, Kraken.
Yeah, there's tons of them out there these days, though.
There are a lot of options.
How do I know which one is right for me?
It's a good question. You want to consider factors like security fees, user experience,
Okay.
and the availability of features like recurring purchases.
Which are essential for dollar cost averaging.
That's right.
So do some research, compare the options, and pick one that you're comfortable with.
It's kind of like choosing a bank.
Yeah, find one that aligns with your needs.
Exactly. Once you've chosen a platform and set up your account, you need to determine your contribution amount.
All right, so how much do I actually want to be putting into this crypto piggy bank each week or each month?
It's really a personal decision.
But it's got to be an amount I can actually afford.
It has to be sustainable.
Right. I don't want to overextend myself.
It's better to start small and gradually increase your contributions over time.
So consistency is key.
Consistency is king.
Okay, so we've got our platform, we've got our contribution amount, we've set up those automatic recurring purchases.
It's all starting to come together.
It is, but now what about keeping my Bitcoin safe?
Security, a critical point.
I've heard some scary stories about people losing their Bitcoin.
It's important to take security seriously.
So how do I do that?
Well, that's where wallets come into play.
Okay, wallets. Now we're getting into the technical stuff.
Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds.
Okay, but what exactly are these wallets and why are they so important?
Good question. Let's break it down. So wallets are essentially your personal Bitcoin bank accounts.
Okay.
They're where you store your Bitcoin and keep it safe.
But I thought we were already storing our Bitcoin on those platforms like Coinbase.
Right. So those platforms do offer a basic level of storage.
Okay.
But it's generally not recommended to keep large amounts of Bitcoin on an exchange for long periods of time.
Okay, why not?
Because exchanges are online platforms and therefore more vulnerable to hacking attempts.
Oh, I see. So it's like keeping all your cash in your wallet instead of putting some of it in a safe at home.
That's a good analogy.
So these wallets, they're like digital safes for my Bitcoin.
Exactly. And there are different types of wallets, each with varying levels of security.
Okay, like what?
So you have hot wallets.
Hot wallets.
Yeah, these are wallets that are connected to the internet.
Okay.
They're convenient for frequent transactions, like if you're using Bitcoin to buy goods and services.
So like a digital checking account?
Yeah, kind
But
of.
if I'm using Bitcoin for long-term savings...
Right. Then you want something more secure.
Okay.
And that's where cold wallets come in.
Cold wallets.
Yep, these are typically hardware devices.
Hardware devices.
Yeah, little gadgets that you plug into your computer.
Oh,
And they store your Bitcoin offline.
offline. So like a safe that's not connected to any network.
Exactly. Cold wallets are considered the most secure way to store Bitcoin for the long term.
Because they're not susceptible to those online hacking attempts.
Precisely.
So if I'm serious about this whole crypto piggy bank thing, I should probably get myself a cold wallet.
It's definitely a good idea, especially if you're holding a significant amount of Bitcoin.
Okay, but wouldn't that make it a pain to access my Bitcoin if I ever need it?
It's true. Accessing Bitcoin stored in a cold wallet requires a few extra steps.
Okay.
But remember, this strategy is about long-term savings, not quick access.
Right, like a savings bond. You don't just cash in on a whim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're playing the long game here.
Okay, so prioritize security and think long term.
That's the mindset.
But, you know, all this talk about platforms, wallets, long-term strategies, it still feels a bit intimidating.
I understand it can seem overwhelming at first.
Like I'm not a tech expert.
You don't have to be.
Okay.
The beauty of this strategy is its simplicity.
Okay.
Once you've chosen a platform, set up your recurring purchases, and secured your savings in a cold wallet, the system pretty much runs itself.
It's like planting a seed
Yeah.
and then watching it grow over time.
You've created the right conditions for it to flourish.
Exactly. But I guess even though it's hands-off,
Right.
it's not completely blind.
Right.
Okay.
You still want to keep an eye on things.
So like those portfolio tracking apps we talked about.
Those can be really helpful.
Okay.
They give you a bird's eye view of your holdings.
So I can see how my Bitcoin is performing over time.
You can track your gains and losses, set up price alerts.
So I can stay informed and make adjustments if needed.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Even in the world of automated savings.
Absolutely.
You know, when we started this deep dive, I was just curious about this idea of effortlessly growing my savings with Bitcoin.
Right.
But now I'm realizing it's about so much more than that.
It is. It's about taking control of your financial future.
It's about exploring new possibilities.
And maybe even changing the way we think about money.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff.
It is.
And for those of you listening, if you're feeling even a little bit curious,
Don't be afraid to dive in.
do some research.
Yeah.
Explore the resources available.
There's a whole world of information out there.
And who knows, maybe this crypto piggy bank hack could be your first step towards a more secure and empowered financial future.
It's definitely worth exploring.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.